Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Cubbage.
And I'm Sam Salek. This is a special federal baseball audio segment. We're going to talk about the firings of manager Davey Martinez and GM Mike Rizzo today. Talk about our reactions, their legacies, what this means going forward, and more.
Yeah, well, let's get right into it. Let's start with our reactions, and I think neither of us really saw this coming. Did you?
No, I didn't see it coming at all. You could kind of see the writing on the wall for Davey a little bit after the whole not the player or all, it's never on the
Never
coaches
coaching.
debacle, but I really thought that Rizzo was going to come back. It just seemed like he and the Lerner family have been tied at the hip for almost like 2 decades now. So
Yeah, and I think that was the way it was leaning. Yeah, we knew their options were this month. That was a known thing. And then we kind of went a week or so with no info on that. So we kind of, it seems like people almost kind of forgot. Like, we'll find out when we find out. From this, what it sounds like, just kind of sources out there on the radio and in articles, it sounds like the Lerner family was kind of done with Davey, even as soon as like met last month. Kind of, it's never on coaching. Like I think they were almost embarrassed by that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it seemed like that was what was going on, and it seemed like Rizzo was just he was tied to the hip with Davey, which he hadn't been with any other manager. But I guess this is the guy that got him the World Series, and maybe he just didn't want change. It seems like he's been resistant to change in a lot of areas, especially lately. So
yeah, and I mean they dumped Dusty Baker after 2 straight division championships. I mean that was nothing for Mike, but yeah, it probably is the World Series. Like Davey and Mike tied together. Sounds like Mike wasn't going to let Davey go. And to the point where the Lerners had to let Mike go. Like, they can't just sit here and let Mike bully them.
Yeah, and it just would have been honestly, it would have been a bit ridiculous to bring back Davey for 2026, just given I don't know, hasn't seemed in it this year, and the comments as well. It just hasn't seemed like the same Davey we've seen, even as recently as like 2023.
I agree, and he seems just kind of checked out, and I think if you're going to make like a blame pie chart of who you like blame for the rebuild kind of stalling and the team not doing great, I think Davey gets the least of the 3 for me. Yeah. I mean,
he's just in the least important role of the 3, but
yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like the bullpen's going to be terrible either way. It doesn't like he can only use Brad Lord so many times, can only use Ferrer so many times. I mean, he got put in a bad spot, and it probably was time to go. And I mean, he's got guys like Darnell and Jim Hickey on the coaching staff.
So seems like a very loyal to a fault group from top to bottom.
And that's great. And that if they can get something like that with the next regime, that's perfect. Like awesome.
But these just weren't people who are getting the job done at this point. Onto those replacements, what do you think? By the time this comes out, the Nats might have some sort of interim. It seems like it's going to be one of Matt LeCroy or Miguel Cairo, who seems to be mulling over his future after the job's been offered to him. Cairo has experience with the White Sox, who went 18-16 in 2022, I believe. So we'll see what happens there. But I feel like the more interesting discussion is what happens with the GM.
Yeah, just to touch on manager real quick, LeCroy seems like a great option. It seems like the guys in AAA really respond to him. He seems like a great leader. I can't see like the most clips I see of him are like the AAA call-ups.
Yeah, he's very good at that. Seems like a
well-poised. Guys really respect him down there. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Cairo's interesting, like you mentioned. They've offered the job to him, but he's still mulling over his options. He might just be so loyal to Davey that out of respect to him, he won't take it. I mean, that would be shout out Davey for finding
this staff,
all of his best friends to put on his staff.
No wonder he's so loyal to them.
I expect that he will take that offer. I would be surprised if he didn't. If he doesn't, it's got to be LeCroy.
I think that would just be the easy move.
Get him on up. And if for any reason it's not LeCroy, it gets really interesting.
Yeah, will it be Darnell Coles?
I'm out if it is now.
Yeah,
but
no.
I was thinking as soon as it went down, I was like, they're going to do a legacy hire. They're going to let Parra manage. They're going to let Zimmerman manage. Like, I was so sure to like keep the fan base in it that's what they do. But it seems like the fan base is, for the most part, responded pretty well. Like they were ready to see this happen. Even the biggest Rizzo and Davey supporters realized we've stalled. Like we're moving backwards.
There's just the record just speaks for itself. And even the All-Star announcements, it was like we had almost potentially 4 guys that could have been All-Stars, and the fact that they're on, a 67 win pace, that says a lot about the roster construction and the job the coaching staff is doing.
Yeah, and when you give Trevor Williams a 2-year deal, you're probably not that great at your job. No matter what they'll tell you, or let Shinosuke Agaswara pitch at the big league level.
Yeah.
The learners had enough, which, credit to them, I didn't even think they cared. Like, I didn't even think they could name half the team.
Yeah.
So maybe they can't. But good for them to finally step up, do something, not just let this team just kind of drift away.
Yeah, it's like obviously they're also a pretty big part of the problem, but now I guess we'll see how much of the problem they are.
We're going to really find out.
We are, and I think that's useful information that I want to see.
Yeah, but let's get into the replacement general manager. By my money, is much more interesting than the manager.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike DiBartolo currently taken over. He was the assistant of Mike Rizzo. He's got more of an analytics background than Rizzo did. So we'll see how much that plays into it. He's going to have an interesting role. Before we talk about who probably takes his job, unless he sticks around, like, what do we want to see him do? I know draft-wise, they're probably just going to hand this over to the scouts, House and Ciolik. We'll get into that later.
Mm-hmm.
But like, trade deadline-wise, what do we expect?
I think that I think it's going to be an interesting. I think there's like all the rentals are probably gone now. I mean, there's no reason for them not to be. I think that he's not beholden to any timeline really, so he's just probably going to do what he thinks is best for the team, and just he's already made a move, picking up a relief pitcher, another Luis Garcia. So we know he's active, but we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I don't know how different it'll be from what Rizzo would have done with the deadline, but it's interesting to find out.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't expect too much of a difference. We know Kyle Finnegan, impending free agent, probably out of here. Mike Soroka kind of been bounced around. His value is interesting. I was talking about it in an article the other week. Like, some team that kind of has a lot of 5 and dive guys anyway, and has a really good bullpen, like the Padres. Like
a team could make Soroka
make him
a
reliever,
reliever
and he'd probably be really good. We probably should have done it, but we don't have enough starters either way.
And he was probably promised to be a starter, so
that too. But yeah, I think Soroka has value. It maybe is like a team's 25th best prospect. I mean, it's not much, but I figure there's some kind of value there. Finnegan, definitely some value. He's a guy that needs to be moved.
Maybe you could get a warm body for Ahmed Rosario. I don't know.
I think you could as just a lefty platoon kind of guy. I don't know where a guy like Nate Lau falls. It sounds like he might be a non-tender candidate this offseason.
Yeah, he's going to make a lot of money this offseason. Hasn't had a great year. We'll see what happens with him.
Their best option might just be to hold on to him. I don't like Yohani Morales isn't quite ready yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the guy long term either. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, but I think that'll be interesting. Draft wise, he's probably just gonna. It's probably. I don't think the draft has changed much.
I think with Rizzo, there was the report that Chelsea Janes was saying on the radio this morning that he was kind of set on maybe taking a pitcher that was close to the big leagues, just like a last gasp or whatever. But like with the new draft guys, their philosophy, both Danny Haas and Brad Ciolik, has been to draft more position player heavy, kind of up the middle heavy, which I think we're probably more likely to see that than a pitcher now.
Yeah, we can get into that after we talk GMs, but they love really good athletes, center fielders, shortstops, kind of guys that they don't have to end up there. Like a lot of people, the MLB draft, you never draft for need, which maybe not never, but like if you have to break a tie maybe. But like the fact that it seemed like Mike Rizzo was dead set to take a pitcher that he could get up quick, I mean, that's just really just sums up how bad the drafting has been. It's just
poor process, and it's been a problem for over a decade. I'm probably going to write an article at some point going over we're going to write all week about this. Just go over the draft picks, which obviously not so good. Go over the trades, more good than bad. But Yeah, the draft is definitely not Rizzo's strong suit, and it's hurt the team going forward.
Yeah. This was probably yesterday was the best day of Cade Anderson's career because
But now he might have to go to
he
the
was going to be
Angels.
pitching in a big league baseball game by maybe September.
With
the Angels.
With the Angels, he might be pitching there by August.
It might be just as bad. He actually might be cooked either way.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Angels are at least getting some kind of development out of it. Like Neto has progressed. Shanuel has progressed.
Yeah.
Christian Moore will see it's early. Showed pretty good flashes early, at least power-wise.
Yeah, I think they're kind of the opposite of the Nationals in a way, where they're doing a better job on the position player development side.
Yeah. But we'll see. Cade Anderson, all I know is I think it's much less likely that we see his name called.
I still think it's possible, but I think he's probably a distant second, maybe even third candidate.
At worst, it's lowered his price for us. His price will have gone down. Like, I was pretty sure for a while that Anderson's price was going to be more than Holiday. Like, we would get less of a discount from Anderson than Holiday because he's for sure going 2 if he's not going 1, or at least 3. Now, I mean, it probably still it's probably
about
not
the
a
same,
huge gap, but I think it kind of loses some. Like Rizzo, he's not their guy anymore for the Nats. Like if he wants to go 1-1, there's going to be more of a discount. So we'll get into that. Let's talk replacement GMs. Check out on Federal Baseball this morning, posted an article, went over 3 guys named by the Washington Post. All guys that either lived or were born in the DMV area. Great names, great baseball names. You want to go over for me first? Thad Levine.
He was in Minnesota for a long time, and he did a good job. I wouldn't say it was like he wasn't exactly Theo Epstein, but he did a good job there. They're consistently a pretty good team. They're also, I think, pretty similar to the Nationals in their market. Like they're a mid-market team that's had some ownership questions over the past few years. So I think that Levine would be a solid hire. I wouldn't be mind blown, but I think he would do a good job. I think he would right the ship. He is an analytical mind. He's done a good job in the draft. He has done a good job building bullpens, which with guys like Joan Duran, Griffin Jacks, other guys that he's found over the years. Ryan Presley was a Twin. I don't know if that was him, but yeah.
Yeah, he worked. So he was the the general manager of the Minnesota Twins for 8 years. Stepped away this offseason, citing just wanted to explore new options inside and outside of baseball. That could be. There's kind of a way, kind of out of respect to guys. Sometimes guys that step away, they get fired.
Yeah,
it could have been kind of a asked to leave kind of situation.
The Twins did have a pretty bad collapse at the end of last season. And
yeah.
One thing I do hope that Thad Levine does not bring his medical guys to D.C.
No Royce Lewis this week. The fans cannot handle it.
No Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he builds – these are talented roster he builds. He built 101-win team in 2019. I mean, one of the best power hitting teams of the last 10 or so years. Granted, balls were juiced. But I mean, that still is a strong Nelson Cruz, Byron Buxton,
other guys,
Marwin
Escobar.
Just kind of a who's who of lineups. A lot of guys you wouldn't even expected all hit 20 homers.
Jorge Polanco, I think, too. Yeah,
I think that's right. Just a lot of that took them to their build a team that won its first playoff game in 20 years in 2023. Didn't win the series, granted, kind of choked that one. They did. They did win the series. Sorry, they lost to the Astros in the ALDS. However, he's built some good teams. Built a couple teams that underperformed. A couple teams that won about 70 or so games.
Yeah.
You'd like to see a little more consistency, but the problem with that is they never had the payroll. I mean, in all his years as the GM of the Twins, payroll was never top half of the league. Always kind of bottom 10-ish, kind of in that 15 to 20 range a lot.
Yeah.
So
he did a solid job with what he worked with. I don't think it was anything mind-blowing, but I think he's a good GM that's available right now that's probably pretty likely to – I think he's a decent chance he'd take the job if it was offered.
Yeah, and just kind of so people know, just as far as the draft, they couldn't get him in time for the draft.
No.
If you're wondering how fast could we get Thad Levine in, First off, it's pretty likely they're going to ride out Mike DiBartolo to the end of the year. It's kind of what it sounds like. So even though Thad is available right now, I wouldn't expect it until the winter.
Yeah, and even if he was available, I don't know. I think that we're just so deep into the draft process. I don't know if Thad has done like a deep dive into this draft the way he would if he
and
had the
even if he
job.
has, like, it's kind of too late in the process to kind of mix philosophies. Like if they really wanted to get nuts, bring him in by the trade deadline. That could be interesting. I just don't see it.
No.
But he is a very good drafter, as I'll get into it. If you check out my article, kind of part of it talks about the war accumulated by teams with their draft picks in the last 10 years. Twins ranked 9th on that list. In the last 10 years, they've accumulated 61.6 F war out of their picks. They've had the third most big leaguers. 45 in total, just behind the Astros and the Dodgers. And this is a team that is drafting really well. Just in his first draft alone in 2017, had Royce Lewis, Brent Rooker, Bailey Ober, Cade Smith on the Guardians now. Didn't make it quite with the Twins, but he did eventually. Just a lot of those are big names now.
Yeah,
8 years later, those are real big league names. Since then, it's been a little harder. It's been like I was going through it. And kind of year by year, it's getting a little worse.
They tend to not draft that. They drafted number 1 that year, and I don't think they draft as high in the other years.
Yeah, they got a little better. They could like Matt Wallner, pretty good baseball player. Not elite, but that's a good, solid baseball player. Guys like Cole Sands, Spencer Steer, Christian Encarnacion Strand, 2 guys that got flipped for Jorge Lopez a couple years ago at the deadline. Or, no, it was Tyler Mahle. That's what I'm thinking of. Tyler Mahle.
And I think his last couple draft picks, Kalen Culpepper's been good. Walker Jenkins, if he stays healthy,
I think he'll be a big
which is
deal.
a common theme in the Twins organization.
I don't think they might not be checking the medicals.
That might actually be worth discussing. But but some of the other options too. Another one is Josh Burns, right?
Josh Burns.
Burns. He's in the Dodgers organization right now. He's actually had a couple stints as GMs, like way back in he was the GM of the Padres in like the 2000s and early 2010s. He was also the GM of the Diamondbacks as well. He actually beat out Mike Rizzo for that Diamondbacks GM gig.
Sure Mike wouldn't be happy to see him take his job. The Padres stint was really interesting, just from what I understood from it. He was the Padres GM from 2011 to 2014, and he was brought in kind of as the interim guy for one ownership group, but then their sale did not get through. Like, MLB wouldn't approve of it, so a different group bought the team. So now he's kind of the GM put in place by a different group for a new group. So he's kind of already on weird ice. Like, they probably
might have a repeat there.
I feel bad for the guy if that does happen, but kind of in a weird spot. And then the team didn't win a lot of games, but he got fired. But he was doing, as far as like the draft, which is kind of where he specializes, he was doing a good job.
Yeah.
His first the 4 first rounders he had in those years: Trey Turner, who was flipped to the Nationals for Steven Souza Jr.
Will Myers. Will Myers was in that
as
trade.
part of that 3-team deal. Max Fried, who
is a very good player.
I don't know who they trade him for.
Kimbrel maybe. I think that was with Preller. Yeah, one of the Preller trades.
Yeah, that's probably right. Max Fried, Hunter Renfroe, Zach Eflin. I mean, that's 2 good ball players right there, and 2 great ball players. Like, that's a guy that wouldn't miss on his picks. He picked up a couple guys. I believe Tyson Ross was in those years. If you remember, shout out Tyson Ross.
Yeah,
love me some.
He was a good player before he went down with injuries, and of course he's Joe Ross's older brother. And if I'm not mistaken, was Josh Burns the GM when in Arizona when they took Max Scherzer? Or he was definitely there.
He was around. I was going to say with the Padres, he picked up Yasmani Grandal in a trade, which was a good move. He probably was part of that Scherzer deal, or not deal, just pick. And this is a guy with an eye for talent, a real eye. Just kind of in a tough spot with the Padres. They didn't do a lot of winning. They kind of went in. They were kind of all in on that 2014 year. They picked up like guys like Kimbrel, Matt Kemp.
Yeah.
Justin Upton, I believe. Just kind of didn't work out. Gets fired. And then
there's that Preller who was doing those trades. I don't know. Besides the point, now he's in the Dodgers organization, which obviously that's a great place to be.
It's a good gig for him. He came in when Andrew Freeman came in 2014. taking over. He brings in Burns on his staff. His exact title is what? The senior vice president of baseball operations. And he's kind of in like a scouting specialized role. That's kind of what they got him doing. And every year since they've had him, top 10 farm systems. And it helps. All the resources they have definitely help. I mean, any new tech, anything you could want, they've got it. But he's just got an eye for talent. I mean, he's just picking up guys left and right. And then you can just go off the current big league club. I mean, we can go guys like Corey Seager, James Outman got Rookie of the Year votes, Tony Gosselin got Rookie of the Year votes. Just off the current team, I mean, Andy Pages.
I think a lot of these guys have moved on, but he was he was there when Walker Buehler was picked. I think Cody Bellinger maybe too, Dustin May, all of those guys, Will Smith.
They're plethora of arms. I mean, the reason they can kind of stay afloat with so many arm injuries is they have so many more prospects. Emmett Sheehan, Gavin Stone, River Ryan. They flipped Ryan Pepiot, great pitcher for Tyler Glasnow.
Yeah.
Just so many great arms that the Nats, that's 4 arms that don't make their full healthy rotation. Maybe Pepiot does, but he's gone. That's 4 arms that'd be our 2 through 5. That would be the 2 through 5 of the Nationals rotation. I mean, that's just an eye for talent. It's hard. It's going to be hard to draw him away from the team. He's a D.C. native. He went to St. Albans in D.C. He played ball at Haverford in Pennsylvania, which is kind of they turn out MLB executives. If you don't know about Haverford College, look it up. The just executives left and right. I believe Levine, when he took over from Levine's replacement this year in Minnesota, also Haverford alum. Levine went to Haverford. Kind of a crazy school. I'd look into that if you're interested in that, but it's going to be hard. The Dodgers are world class.
They are.
Everyone wants to be the Dodgers.
But there are only 30 of these gigs around, and they don't open that often. So maybe he wants back in the game. And
to run your own ball club, it's kind of another thing. He's in a great spot. A senior vice president of baseball ops for the defending champs is a great gig.
But he's behind at least 2 guys now.
He's not his own boss. He's not number 1.
He's not even number 2 either. Brandon Gomes or whatever is the number 2 there. So
so the chance to kind of come to a pretty not a small market. We've been acting like a small market, but it's not a small market. To come to a medium-sized market at least, be the guy. There's a good young core here. There's things to build on. I mean, it's where you grew up. I mean, granted, there was no team when he lived here, when he grew up. But, that could be a real opportunity. That could be really interesting for him.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes down. That's a great option. But you want to break down a third option?
The third option's one. It's the dream option, but I don't see it happening. It's Eric Neander, the Tampa Bay Rays. He runs the show there. Obviously, they're kind of the model organization of how to build a sustainable winning product while not having the budget. So he's around there. I'm not sure what he was thrown out by Barry Svrluga like these other 2 guys, but I'm not sure what the chances of him leaving are. He'd have to have a lot of assurances and promises, I'd assume, but he's a great candidate.
Yeah, I'm not – the list of the 3 are all native guys. Neander was born in Silver Springs, Maryland. He moved to New York. That's where he kind of grew up, however. I don't really know. I mean, the odds are right now, we're not going to know right now, mid-season, especially with guys other than Levine. If they're working right now, they're working. They're not thinking about the Nationals job, at least until the season ends. But, like you said, Neander's the dream. Started with the Rays in 2007 as an intern, worked his way up. 2014 became the vice president of baseball operations. 2016 became the general manager. 2021 just became the president of all baseball ops. I mean, this in an organization as smart as them, like the Rays, about as smart as it gets, he worked his way up. He just beat out everyone. Yeah. And, I mean, that says a lot. You just think about they've gone to 1 World Series in his time, almost never have been a bad baseball team.
Yeah, and they're running on bare bone budget. I mean, they are probably cheaper than even the Nationals now. I mean, they
It's
spend
hard
more
to
on the
imagine someone
analytics
cheaper than us.
department.
It's
but the
hard to
payroll
imagine
is,
someone cheaper
yeah.
than us. But yeah, I mean, and they're playing in a minor league stadium right now, so they're not really attracting free agents. This offseason, they signed Danny Jansen,
I think they
believe.
signed Hae-Sung Kim too, but that was
Yeah,
some
and he
weird sort
just
of
kind of
deal.
is getting back into playing if there's injury.
I'm sure they traded other people too, or no, they traded a lot of their guys that were getting expensive at the deadline last year.
Yeah, like last year didn't go great for them, and then going into this year, people kind of wrote them off. They were about a fifth-place team in the division. I was higher than them the most. I think I still had them in fourth. Like every year with the Rays, you look at the team, and you're like, this can't. Like, how could this be a playoff team?
Mm-hmm.
And they do it anyway.
Now,
they do it anyway. And they're sitting second place in the AL wildcard race right now. They've cooled down a little bit. They were right up there at the top of the division for a while. They're third place right now. Blue Jays have taken the top. Yankees and
they're
them.
tied for second now. And also another thing worth noting is that imagine if you just give James Wood a massive contract, and months after that contract comes out, he's never going to play baseball again for reasons.
Yeah, we won't get into the biggest deal.
And they're still good. They're still a good team despite that.
No, if James Wood couldn't play baseball anymore, the Nationals organization would probably just have to forfeit.
They would have to go to AAA. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Rays, the biggest contract they ever gave out, the guy is going to be in prison for the rest of his life, and they're still going to win 90 games. I mean, this just the faces of consistency, and it's because they're just so good at drafting, so good at player development. They were sixth on that WAR accumulated from the draft last 10 years.
And they just find no people guys have never heard of and turn them into reliable, good big leaguers.
Yeah, like if you get a call from the Rays for one of your guys, hang up and do some work on him because clearly that he's got something there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just how it is. They make trades that you're like, well, they don't want to win. They traded Tyler Glass now, and you're like, they've given up. And the guy they get is better. He's healthier. Yeah. He's healthier. At least they get Johnny DeLuca in that deal as well, who's got potential. He's at least a good fielder out in center field, working on the bat. They'll probably end up trading guys like Yandy Diaz, and you'll be like, why'd they do that? Because the guy they get back is going to have a 3 ERA in 3 years.
Jonathan Aranda will just take his place.
There you go. Guys like Curtis Mead are going to step up. He's been kind of cold to start his big league career, but you just never know. Like, he might just jump out, and here comes Evan Longoria again for the Rays.
Yeah, after one tweak.
Like, they're just so good at what they do, and if you bring them to the Nationals, it won't be immediate. Like, people need to understand, like, player development isn't one guy spotting talent, bringing him in, and he works. Like, it's a whole process. Like, if you know a lot about prospects, Connor Griffin on the Pirates went 1 pick before the Nationals last year, and has serious swing and miss issues, serious, swing path kind of stuff. Like, he's a top 10 prospect in baseball now. He's doing great this year. They've changed his swing. If he got picked by the Nationals, I don't think that happens.
Yeah.
Like, do we make the necessary adjustments?
Or is this just Elijah Green all over?
Is he? Again? Yeah. Is he gonna walk? Is he gonna make what he's got to do? I don't really think so. Like, so as much crap as we gave Mike Rizzo, and we'll continue to give Mike Rizzo about his draft picks, it's really also the development behind it. Like, maybe a guy like Seaver King could be an all-star one day, but we won't really know as long as the current guys don't teach him how to walk, don't teach him how to lift the ball with authority. And that still falls on Rizzo. Like, don't get me wrong. Who hires the player development guys? Rizzo. Who isn't bringing in the necessary equipment and technology to be able to diagnose the problems? It's Rizzo. But like a guy like Neander, he's going to bring all that with him, but it won't be immediate. It's going to take a couple years even maybe, kind of build a farm system of guys that fit their mold, guys that they can kind of shape, kind of unteach bad habits. It kind of sucks that, this is like, we're 1 week from the draft. Like, they should almost call him, be like, hey, theoretically, if you were going to be the GM next year,
your list.
who would you take this year? I mean, that's not a bad baseball mind just to hear what he thinks.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that he won't have any input on this year's class.
And I don't think he'll come regardless. But
Yeah, this is kind of just us praying. But it's a shame that the next GM in general won't have a say in this year because maybe they take Ethan Holiday and they decide, this guy is kind of a third baseman who, with a questionable hit tool, we don't love that. Like, I think that's like one of the most interesting things to talk about is a new GM comes in, who's dead weight.
Yeah, who do they not like?
Like the easy ones are like, we're not going to see Josh Bell again. Hooray!
Yeah, I
Trevor
don't think
Williams,
that's
hooray.
happening anyway.
But then the tough ones, like a new guy comes in, he's like, we don't want to pay C.J. Abrams.
Yeah, do they think that this team will be good by the time Mackenzie Gore is a free agent?
Yeah, it seems that at this point, do not count on Mackenzie Gore getting an extension. ESPN mentioned it in their article talking about that, he's a Boris guy. Boris guys hit free agency. That's kind of just what ends up happening. We're just, at this rate, you either pray when you take him to go to free agency with him and pray, or you flip him at the deadline.
I wouldn't flip him at this deadline.
Not this deadline.
Because
I don't think contention in 2026 is out of the window. Like when you look at the core of the team, it is really not bad. And I think of like the 2019 Phillies is who I think of when I think of like this team. Like the Phillies, despite how good they are right now, have not been that good at developing talent. Just like on their whole big league club right now is kind of guys that either acquired in trades or signed in free agency. Like Real Muto, trade with the Marlins. Harper, free agency.
Wheeler, free agency.
Stott was a good first rounder by them. So good call on them. Trey, free agency. Bohm was a top 5 pick. So I wouldn't even say Bohm's kind of
He's okay.
I wouldn't say, like, people forget. I forgot he was a top 5 pick. Like,
yeah.
He's kind of underperformed. Brandon Marsh trade. Castellanos free agency. It's that's an expensive club, but it's one that wins.
Yeah.
We already have more young guys than they did when they were building that team up. And if they are willing to go the Phillies route, if they're willing to spend the money, this could be a team that wins, at least next year. Now, will they spend?
We'll see.
I wish I could tell you guys.
I don't know. I don't know what. I didn't think that Rizzo would be fired, so I don't know what Mark Lerner's thinking really right now.
Yeah, and everyone wants to throw fingers at each other. About an hour after Mike Rizzo gets fired, he puts out a note that says the sun will shine again, and that he navigated ownership for 20 years.
So I don't know. Is that like a bad sign moving forward, or is that just sour grapes?
Salty about the breakup, maybe. But it's going to be interesting. It's a lot of finger pointing, saying Lerner's didn't give him the budget, and no, Lerner's gave him the budget. Rizzo didn't use it, which I find hard to believe.
Yeah.
Like there was a piece. I don't know exactly what it counts, so I won't bring it up. I think I have an idea, but I won't say. But about Christian Walker this offseason. Yeah. Mike Rizzo, is courting him. That's his guy, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to get the deal done. They have a number agreed on. Bring it to the Lerners. They say no can do. And
yeah, well, if that stuff's happening, it's not a good sign.
It's hard to build
we'll see. I don't know if it's not. I don't think it was the best source, so we don't know for sure, but.
Yeah, and Christian Walker has been worse than Nate Lau this year, if you can believe it, actually. Neither has been great, but so maybe that works out for us. But it's just kind of stuff like that. Like if they don't have the budget to work with and they can't develop the players, they're screwed. Yeah. They can't do anything. So something's got to give with this next group. Either they've got to get really good at developing these players, at identifying the right players, or they got to be willing to spend the money.
Yeah.
And if they can do both, it's hard to do both. But if they can do both, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
We hope. We really hope. But I think it's time we get into that Nationals big pick in 6 days. What do you say?
Yeah, I think we should. I think that heading into it, I think it was definitely down to 2 guys, and Cade Anderson and Ethan Holiday, and it seemed like, based on all the mocks and some of the intel, that it was trending towards Anderson, especially with Rizzo there. But now I think that it throws everything into limbo now. So
yeah, and I wrote an article about a week ago for just my own publication, or writing about how I wasn't really buying a lot of the Cade Anderson stuff. There was a lot of stuff coming out, Cade's their guy, blah blah blah, The MLB draft is like the final 2 week stretch. There is so many smoke screens. No one knows who's taking. Like last year, if you keep up with the draft, J.J. Weatherholt on the Cardinals now went about 7th in the draft. He was the favorite to go 1. All the talk was they're going to go underslot. They're going to save money. They're going to take this guy. They think he's close to Bazana. It was probably always Bazana. I kind of figured it was Bazana. It did end up being.
Yeah, nobody thought the Nationals were going to take Seaver King at this time last year. Good reason.
I remember, it was a lot of Connor Griffin, Bryce Rayner, maybe a Trey Savage, that kind of thing.
like Nick Kurtz if he gets there or something like
dream.
that.
Oh, don't even remind me. That was the dream.
It was.
But it was a lot of that. And then I remember about day of, like very right before kind of an article came out, just a mock draft. It wasn't Caleb Lamavita, but he was mentioned. Like they really like Caleb Lamavita. I was like, ooh, don't do that. Don't do that at 10. And it didn't end up happening, but it's because they wanted him later. They had an extra pick from the Hunter Harvey trade. They ended up taking Seaver King, save some money, take Lamavita, who, to their credit, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, he's been high A, tough hitting environment. And he's done a pretty good job there. There's still some questions about his profile, but I think he's at the very least he's held serve on his profile and he's headed and trending in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy like this current player development is a little messed up. There's some stuff they don't do right. He's not walking a lot at high A. He's not hitting for a lot of power, but he's showing great bat-to-ball skills. I can't say defensive stats kind of just don't exist.
Yeah, you can't really tell. He's regarded as kind of an average defender.
Yeah.
Good very good
he's
athlete.
Probably using
a
Keibert, but Keibert wasn't a Keibert defender.
He's a much better athlete than Keibert.
Yeah, so they got that going for them. So we'll see how that goes. He's a guy that new guys come in. Hopefully they can kind of work on the approach, get him pulling some more fly balls, that kind of stuff.
I wonder what the new guys would do with Luke Dickerson, who kind of started out hot. He's been up and down since, but
yeah, and I'm not very worried about him. He's kind of regressed to around a league average hitter at the low A level. He's 19 years old, turns 20 later this year.
Yeah, two-sport guy, so a bit more raw than your average.
Yeah, if you don't know much about Luke Dickerson, was a New Jersey prospect. Played hockey in the winters. It's kind of hard to play baseball in the winter in New Jersey. It's kind of the Mike Trout dilemma.
Yeah.
Mike Trout went about 25th back in 2009, and the talent was there. So no one really could really see him. It's kind of pre-internet, kind of even like the dawn of the analytics age. So no one could really get an eye on Mike Trout. Yeah. Falls a little, turns out to be Mike Trout.
Yeah. So
Luke Dickerson is less of that. Like we have the numbers, we have the technology to track these guys even in an indoor environment. But it's still he was playing hockey, so he's not on all the showcase circuits. He kind of was a second round, third round kind of guy in the draft. The Yankees apparently were big fans of him. Didn't end up working just because the Nats had more money. Nats had money from the Seaver King pick to work with. They get some to Lamavita, get enough to Dickerson to get him away from his UVA commitment, and he started really hot. We wrote about it. A big deal to start, like a 130, 140 WRC. It's kind of been down since then. And that's just kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey is not the cream of the crop in prep talent.
You aren't seeing great stuff on a very consistent basis.
Yeah, guys have one or two great pitchers. And even low A, not every pitcher has a 4-pitch mix. But he's seeing,
more velocity.
Higher velo, more break, guys that have 3 pitches that they can use well. It's kind of been an adjustment. Fred Nats is in Wilmington levels of just unhittable, but it's a pretty big ballpark out there. It's a tough one to hit in as well. So
now we can get into this 2025 draft. First off, who do you think the Nationals should take right now?
Well, if it's up to me, which it isn't, but I wish it was. I would take Ethan Holiday. I think it's just the upside is all there. I don't think the floor is as scary as maybe some people think. A lot of analytics people don't love him. But the thing with analytics people is the summer circuit's all they have. The summer circuit for prep players is like the Super Bowl because that's the only time they get a lot of the advanced numbers. You don't get their launch angles, exit velos during their high school games. Yeah. So how you perform in the summer circuit is almost everything. And Holiday kind of struggled, especially against high velocity, swinging and missing a lot. Was probably trying to do too much. I wrote an article about a month or two ago. You know, when you're the top prep player in your own class, there's a lot of pressure on that. And it probably got to him. I mean, God forbid the 17-year-old feels the weight of, his fame. And so I'm not even worried about that.
I think he's got a great coach in his father and Matt Holliday. And I think that he's shown development in this spring. It's gotten better this spring. I mean, Oklahoma high school ball isn't like the best, but it's pretty good competition. It's good competition. There's other high-end draft picks playing in Oklahoma high school baseball.
Yeah, and he had over 600. He had almost 20 home runs, and I think they only play like 40 games or so. I mean, the power potential is very real. Comp thrown out there by Joe Doyle, big MLB draft writer, if you follow along. He comps him a lot to Matt Carpenter. And at first I was like, gross. Like, I don't want to take Matt Carpenter 1-1. But Matt Carpenter's actually not a bad player. He had a couple, 30 home run seasons, like a 140 WRC plus.
Very patient hitter.
Yeah, actually, the more I thought about it, that's a pretty good pick.
In a draft that isn't like stock full of elite talent the way it was in say 2023.
Yeah, with no real clear pick. That's kind of where I am. Where are you? Are you Holiday on number one as well?
Yeah, I'm Holiday number one. Yeah. I think that especially now with new leadership, there's no reason to force a guy just because he's closer to the big leagues. Like, we're hitting the reset button here, so we should just take a guy with the bloodlines, with the upside, with the big power, with a great eye, who has his hit tool is a question, but it's not. It's a yellow flag, not a red flag.
We're not in Elijah Green territory.
No, we're not.
But who's your number two? Because I think we may stray from each other here.
Honestly, I think that I'm honestly not. I think that it's different every day almost. Like one day it's Kate Anderson, one day it's Eli Willits, one day it's Seth Hernandez. Right now, I'd probably settle on maybe either Anderson or Hernandez, I guess, just like with the arm route. Because I think Willits is a good player. I don't think there's a whole lot of upside.
I do think the power potential is he's kind of like a Haas Young Kim kind of type.
Yeah.
Like a pretty good defender, kind of limited power, like maybe 15 homer potential, a good bat. Like, I see the vision there. I don't see it with our current player development.
I also just don't see it at one.
At one either. Like, the savings are cool, but I think I like Seth Hernandez. I think you could probably save just as much with Seth Hernandez. And he's probably got the best ceiling in the class.
He does.
Like, I know people are scared of the prep arms, and he's my number two, by the way. That's what Hernandez is my two. I'm putting out a big board before the draft. Probably going to be one on it. Like, he is the real deal. 18 years old, throwing 100. Fantastic changeup. He's got secondaries he's working on. I think the Nats could develop him. I think we're better with arms. There's kind of people that give me pushback when I say that, but I don't think they're bad.
No, I don't think they're terrible. I just think like Mackenzie Gore's gotten better every year. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker aren't great, but they're big leaguers, and I think that they've done a solid job with the guys in the system. Travis Sakura's doing well. Alex Clemmy's growing. Harleen Susana's taken some steps. I don't think they're do a terrible job. And also with Seth Hernandez, the thing is you can really get you'll get the new regime can put their hands all over him and develop him. I pause.
But yeah, I think Hernandez is a big talent. He wouldn't really most pitchers kind of after the draft, unless you're the Angels and just crazy, like they aren't going to pitch after the draft. Maybe an inning, a couple innings or so, and the FCL, that kind of thing, or on the complex. I mean, like, so he wouldn't even have a chance to get messed around with by the current guys that'll probably be gone. Like, so I think there's some interest in that. I like Hernandez. It seems unlikely at this point.
I don't see
I mean, at this. Mike DiBartolo
Who knows? But
is trying to coach himself into the long-term job. I'm sure he's going to try and do his best to stay around. Does he take a prep arm at 1 to do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if he knows he's gone anyway, he's like, let's get crazy. But I don't know where that's going to go. Would your 3 be Cade Anderson or Hernandez?
It's probably, yeah. Hernandez and Anderson are probably interchangeable. Anderson, I just think I just like the floor. I think he'll be good. I don't know if he'll be great, but I think he'll be good. I think there's not a ton of downside there. I think he'd be. I don't know if he'll be at least a middle rotation guy. Maybe if you find velocity, he could be more. But
yeah, I'm a little bullish on Anderson. I like Anderson. It's not a 1-1 package, but like not really anyone is this year either. He had a Tommy John already, which a lot of people like. I don't like that actually. Like that's like he had a Tommy John in 2022, I believe, when he was still in high school. That's a little scary. If he gets a second, I mean, the guys that get seconds, unless you're Jacob deGrom, that's a tough thing to come back from. A lot of people think he's the most big league ready, but he's really got room to grow. Like
he's got the best guy.
He's got the best arsenal of the big 3: Arnold, Doyle, Anderson. Best arsenal. Doesn't throw super hard though. He kind of sits mid 90s. The shape on it is all right. It's not great, and fastball shape isn't everything. I mean, I was preaching some Paul Skeens fastball shape stuff, and now he's Paul Skeens, and I look stupid. So it's really not the biggest deal, and I think he's going to be a great pitcher. I prefer Liam Doyle. If you follow my writing at all, you know I'm a Liam Doyle maniac.
It's also a Tennessee Volunteer attendee.
I might even be biased, but also Liam Doyle is fantastic. Had a 2.45 FIP in SEC play, or just in the season. Pretty similar in SEC play as well. Huge strikeout numbers. Had about a 35 strikeout to walk percentage, which is like just off. Like in about the last 5 years or so, college baseball, like there's guys up in the 40s, Skeens and Burns. About like 37 was Hagen Smith, who went top 5 last year to the White Sox. And then there's Doyle. I mean, it's incredible. He's a great talent. I understand the relief risk. He throws hard, but he also uses a lot of effort to throw as hard as he does.
A lot of pretty high energy, high effort guy with not the most refined secondary stuff right now.
Yeah, but I think that's a guy, like at this very moment, if I needed someone to go win a baseball game, I might take Cade Anderson, or at a college level at least. I don't know about a major league level, but I think Doyle long-term is the better option. A lot of scouts seem to think Doyle will beat him to the majors unless he's taken by the Angels. You know, just in pure talent that Doyle could rise quicker. We'll see about that. I think Arnold even has a chance to beat the other two to get up there. But if you're taking the money into account as well, I'm taking Doyle. He's probably saving $1 million or so over Anderson. I'm taking that every day. Either way, I think Holiday and Hernandez are kind of the only two I'm like in on at this point. You might be that plus Anderson.
Yeah, I would be fine with Anderson, but Holiday's the guy I'd want.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that. And I think it's pretty likely, if y'all don't know much about Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek, the heads of the scouting department, they were new in 2024 with the Nats organization. And I think they kind of let him take the reins on last year's draft with like the Seaver King pick. I think that was kind of like we were discussing it beforehand. That's kind of like the brainchild of a Mike Rizzo
type of athlete with Ciolek, like liking the up at the middle and versatility. Just they overlooked some thing.
They might have gotten cute there as well, but we like what it's kind of turned into with Lamavita and Dickerson. They use some of those savings on Sir Jamison Jones.
Great name.
Awesome. A+ name. They took a lot of great Seaver King. Like they're taking a lot of great names, but baseball-wise, they're all right. Yeah. Jamison Jones, though, has done very well so far just to begin his big league career.
He's probably about 5 years away, but he's a good upside bet.
Yeah, not his big league career, his professional career. It'll be a while. But you just need to stack little victories like that.
Yeah.
We may never see him catch in, Nationals Park. But he might turn into a reliever. He might turn into a reliever and get a year or two out of, you just have to stack little victories like this. And they did pretty well with that last year, I think. We'll see. We've given the Seaver King pick a lot of shit. We probably will continue to, if we're being honest. But I like what it turned into. Wish it had been someone else at 10, I think. Now this year, we're going to see where they went. they kind of did a baby underslot strategy last year. Do they go really underslot? Does a guy like Eli Willits interest them? Up the middle guy, good athlete, hit tool. Does that interest them? We don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. We don't really know what's going to go on, but the draft is just 6 days away. So, it'll be a wild
This
ride.
is a throw out your notes kind of situation. We
Yeah,
got the GM has been fired. We don't even know who's in charge of the war room anymore. Rumors were Rizzo wanted a pitcher, probably so he could rush him up to the big leagues and save his job.
Now
that's out of the way.
That's out the
I would
window.
not expect a pitcher. I guess I'll be more shocked than I was before Rizzo was fired if Anderson was picked. Like, I'll be pretty shocked now.
I would be mild. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, maybe shock's not the word, but I think it's way more likely that Ethan Holiday will be a Washington National on July 13th at this point. But let's get into our actual predictions. And do you think it will be Ethan Holiday?
I do think it'll be Ethan Holiday at this point. I think that's probably who the draft guys have probably always wanted, and now they're going to be the ones running the show definitively.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, Brad Ciolik was working with the Orioles as kind of a draft guy in 2022 when they took Jackson Holliday's older brother. There's kind of that connection already there. We'll see how much that plays into it. I think the familiarity doesn't hurt. They probably like we were saying, having Matt Holliday, his father, around, kind of a guy with big league experience. He's been with Jackson as he's gotten the player development he needs. Kind of like it's good, especially when our organization has such a bad track record of development, to have someone to kind of lean on outside of that. I think that's a great thing. Just from a marketing perspective, it'll be pretty cool having an Ethan Holiday, Jackson Holiday thing.
Yeah, it would be a good start.
Battle
to,
of the DMV
era.
as both these teams win 75 games. But, I'm in agreement. I think it's going to be Holiday. We'll see. I'm not going to make any promises.
Yeah, we'll
see. I was telling fans to do your Eli Willits homework if you haven't, just in case, because I think his odds went way up. I think he wasn't even on sports books, some of them, to bet on.
I think he's a Haas and Ciolik profile, super young for the class. And,
we'll see about that. But where do you think Ethan Holiday, just kind of a hypothetical, he joins the Nats farm system, where do you think he falls? Is he ahead of Sikora, behind Sikora,
I think he's right neck and neck with Sikora. Probably, I'd have to look. I think probably have Sikora barely ahead right now just because he's shown it. But I think he'd definitely be number 2 easily.
Yeah, I know MLB.com has him as a 60 future value prospect. They get kind of weird with those. They give too many 60s during the draft phase. And then when they update the lists, take away, making them 55. So I'm like, why do we do that? So I think when Holiday kind of, August, when they update their publication, their top 100, I'd expect them in the 30 or so range.
Yeah, right around.
And then it'll be a 55 prospect. You're like, why do you do that? That's just kind of what they do. I don't really know why. I think Sikora is above him for me. That's an ace upside at least. I think Sikora is going to be a huge deal. He's probably ahead of Susanna.
I think he's definitely ahead of Susanna.
He's probably ahead of House. He's pretty firmly the number 2 guy.
I think, yeah.
And
he's closer to number 1 than number 3 for me.
I agree on that. And I think a second rounder, whoever that ends up being, especially if they go underslot, get kind of a first round talent, probably falls 5 or so.
Yeah,
kind of in that
there.
Luke Dickerson range, maybe a little above him. I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Is that all we got?
Yeah, I think that's all we got for today.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for listening. We're going to see how this draft goes in a couple days, and we're really excited. We're glad to talk some ball with you all.
Yep.
I want you to repeat that again because you looked at me, not the camera. so just remember, think about how you want to wrap it up again, and just take it one more time. Just that way, I got an option there in case you prefer.
Yeah. You want to do it?
Restart it?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Okay.
So,
yeah, so I think that'll wrap things up. Thanks for listening, and we'll see if we do this again. But this was definitely a fun conversation to have and such a pivotal moment in Nationals history.
And we're excited. By the time this comes out, they'll have named interim manager. I'm sure we'll know more maybe about the GM hunt. It's going to be a while, but we're really excited.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.